Welcome back from the break, everyone. James Lane here, and for those just joining us, this is American Reveille. I want to talk to you about something. I want to talk to you about how hypocritical the left is for a second. I can't tell you how many times I've been talked down to by a vegan Democrat just for the apparent sin of enjoying a good burger. I can't tell you how many times one of these climate conspiracy theorists has pointed to people like you and me for the extinction of some ancient marmot or rare purple-spotted caterpillar. A hunter in Texas actually saves lives and bolsters the natural environment by hunting down overgrown populations, yet the same hunter gets crucified by some LGBTQ vegan bunny lover with no education in regard to what saving life even looks like. The left is made up of the largest group of grifters, jailhouse lawyers, and gaslighters that I've ever laid my eyes on. They are more lost than any of us could ever even imagine. These folks actually believe that people like Dr. Fauci and the current administration have our best interest in mind. They believe that by destroying this country and its morality, they can transform it into the dystopian Disneyland of our nightmares. Folks, if they're willing to experiment on us socially, psychologically, and medically, just imagine what they're capable of doing to dogs. You like dogs, right? I love dogs. I have two Chiweenies, Butters and Mr. Chucho. That's their names, folks. You know who else really likes dogs? Well, apparently Dr. Fauci and the NIH. Take a look at this horrifying news. The White Coat Waste Project, a taxpayer watchdog group, has provided the Gateway Pundit with new examples of Dr. Anthony Fauci facilitating cruel and unnecessary taxpayer-funded experimentation on dogs, this time in Tunisia. Documents uncovered by the organization found that the National Institutes of Health division that is led by Dr. Fauci shipped part of a $375,000 grant to the lab in Tunisia to infest beagles with parasites. You know, those cute little doggies, the beagles? Yeah, not the beetles, the beagles. Parasites, eating them alive. Don't you think I'm kidding? Keep listening. The grant money funded a study published last month that detailed the horror inflicted upon the unlucky dogs. And nobody messaged me and asked me to do a deep dive or review of that study. I don't want to read it, all right? There's no point of me reading it. One of the tortures that the beagles were subjected to included locking their heads in mesh cages filled with infected sandflies so that the parasite-carrying insects could eat them alive. You heard me correctly. I said eat them alive. Beagles are often used for these tests because of their gentle nature, even towards those who harm them. That is awful. That's so awful. There's a photo of the test, which is sure to haunt anyone with a conscience. And oh yeah, I'm looking at it. Oh yes, I'm looking at the photo. I'm looking at this horrible picture of these poor dogs. And I promise I won't show it to you. I even took a picture for the cover art without these pictures, all right? Just so you don't have to get surprised and look at these poor dogs. You don't want to see it. You really don't, because just like the article said, it's pretty messed up. All right. According to their paper, the scientists starved the sandflies. They literally starved these bugs. All right. In order to make sure they were hungry enough to attack the dogs. Quote, the sandflies were then allowed to feed on the sedated dogs. End quote. The report explains. The nightmare for dogs did not stop there. The experimenters locked beagles alone in cages in the middle of the desert, isolated for 9 consecutive nights to use as bait to attract more infectious sandflies. There's also a photo of course there's a photo. Oh my gosh. Oh man, wow, folks, just wow. I'm sorry, but these demons are sick, all right? Dr. Fauci is sick. The entire NIH is sick. Their entire budget needs to be audited to the decimal, all right? Straight to the decimal. And these programs need to be shut down immediately because you know where there's one, there's always more when it comes to government-funded programs and experiments. Fauci's dog testing debacle is now an international disgrace. Not only is Fauci paying for Beagle abuse here at home, but he's also shipped our tax dollars overseas to have beagles eaten alive by insects in an African lab with no oversight from U.S. authorities. You know, didn't something like that just happen in Wuhan, China? Just asking, just wondering, just thought somebody should, maybe bring it up. Just saying. Anyway, it says taxpayers shouldn't be forced to foot the bill for this government waste and abuse. Congress must take action to investigate the full extent of Fauci's dog testing debacle. Mackie Burr, Director of Digital and Grassroots Development at the White Coat Waste Project, said. The article's funding statement confirmed that it was given money by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and that NIH funding was given to the lab in Tunisia. Let me ask you a serious question. Do you really think he's going to be held accountable? Do you really think anything is going to happen to Dr. Fauci or anyone else at the NIH for that matter? No? At this point, I don't either. Look at the kind of money they were moving around for no reason whatsoever. Just look at it. Listen, White Coat Waste Project, using the Freedom of Information Act, using a FOIA Act, recently revealed that Fauci spent $424,000 to commission another study in which healthy beagles were given an experimental drug and intentionally infested with flies that carry a disease causing parasites that affect humans. Man, oh man, Dr. Fauci's really freaking double dipping, huh? He really was looking for the plague to wipe out the universe. I mean, come on. How many bad ideas can you possibly fund? How many? I think one is way too many. It says that the researchers are developing infections in 28 beagles and allowing them to suffer for 3 months before being euthanized. Oh, how merciful. The organization also noted that the experimenters admit this investigational drug, quote, has been extensively tested and confirmed in different animal models such as mice, Mongolian gerbils, and rhesus macaques. How do you say that? Macaques? Macaques. I think that's a type of monkey, rhesus macaques. Meaning that this painful torture is completely unnecessary. So let me get this straight. Dr. Fauci and the U.S. government took $424 out of our pocket, out of the taxpayers' pocket, and then blew it so that monkeys, gerbils, and beagles could be eaten alive by sandflies. I can't even pay certain bills every month, folks, but the Tunisians get a cool $500,000 to document the vocal cries of pain coming from man's best friend. Get out of here with that garbage. I'm done with these people. The left doesn't value life or liberty. The left doesn't believe in God. The left uses our taxpayer dollars to torture animals while gaslighting animal conservationists and conscientious hunters. These people are all snake oil salesmen, shysters, and the worst kind of frauds. Listen to this. In a letter sent to Fauci last week, Congressman Scott Perry and 14 colleagues cited their investigation and demanded answers about the project, including how much money has been spent to date, how many dogs have been killed, and why the NIH commissioned the deadly dog testing when the FDA said it wasn't required in the first place. The letter was signed by Rep. Andy Biggs, Rep. Ken Calvert, Madison Cawthorn, Rodney Davis, Louis Gohmert, Diane Harshbarger, Yvette Harrell, Fred Keller, Brian Mast, Bill Posey, Greg Stubbe, Glenn Thompson, Randy Weber, and Daniel Webster. So I have another question for you now. Why are there only 14 signatures on this letter? Where's, I don't know, the rest of Congress? At the very least, where's the rest of the Republican congressmen? Where's the outrage? People have service peacocks and therapy tarantulas now, and we can't stop these monsters from benefiting from the cruel and unusual torture of animals? Washington is set up in such a way that you can tell who's funded by what interest just by what way they sign or don't sign a letter. So we then have to ask the question, who's getting paid and who's going home? Well, regardless, we know one thing's for certain. Everyone's going home because no one is getting in trouble for this, at least not anytime soon. We'll be right back.